Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
This is America's outdoor talk program.
Are you ready to get rowdy?
Outdoors This Week with your host, Alex Langer. Alex Langer. We've got fishing.
Believe me, folks, I have been there, and the fishing has been tremendous.
Hiking.
Adios. Have a nice trip.
Camping.
This is a real adventure.
How do you know?
When you're an experienced woodsman like me, you get a feel for these things.
Oh, really?
Heck, we've even got kayaking.
I'm gonna show you kids the time of your life.
We've got all the info you need for a safe and fun day in the sun.
It's a darn good thing we found you when we did. There's something horrible roaming these woods.
And you've got Outdoors This Week. Outdoors This Week. And now, here's your host, Alex Langer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here with you today in the old radio studio, as it were. We have a very, very special show today. We have somebody that we refer to as just the Dean. You know, there was a great talk show host in Boston that they referred to as the Dean many years ago, whose name was Jerry Williams. It's not that Dean, but it's another Dean. Somebody who is the Dean of Bass University. He is a man by the name of Pete Gluszek. Pete has been competing in the highest professional levels for more than 10 years, qualifying both for the Bassmaster Classic and the FLW Outdoors Championship. He currently has the record for heaviest winning margin in the history of the FLW Strand Series, finishing almost 18 pounds in front of the second place finisher. I'm sure he doesn't even remember the name of the second place finisher. I'm going to ask him about this, and I'm sure he won't even remember who came in second.
Yeah, we can play Stump the Dean.
Stump the Dean. How much you want to bet we stump the Dean?
I think we can.
I think we can, too. Pete is a river specialist, has won on both the Bassmaster and FLW tournament trails. He is also recognized as being one of the most informative and entertaining seminar speakers in the business. He has invented a brand new lure, which we're going to talk about today. It's a finesse crankbait. Usually you think of crankbaits as part of power fishing, but this is a finesse crankbait, and it's called Pete something. We'll have Pete tell us himself. And then, if that's not enough, we have all the usual suspects with us today. We have Ron Linder of Linder's Angling Edge fame. We have Larry Whiteley of Bass Pro Shops. And we have, of course, what's his name from Ducks Unlimited?
Wade Bourne.
Wade Bourne.
We have Sammy Lee.
Yeah, and Sammy Lee, that's right. I forgot Sammy Lee, who might be available.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to check that one out.
All right, folks, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hang tight. More of America's outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after this.
Hi folks, Ron Linder here for Linder's Angling Edge Television. We have had some departments over the years here on our radio broadcast, and one of them was, that I had for a long time, was nature fakers and nutcases. These are generally our way of looking at PETA and like-minded groups that do more harm than good. They pretend good, but they always end up in harm. There's other groups that don't mean harm or don't even think about harm, but there is a thing that's called the line of unintended consequences. In other words, they think they're going to do right, but it ends up in the long run that there was long unintended consequences, and it comes out badly. The state of Wisconsin, for example, put a no-culling rule because fish that were caught in deep water brought up a whole lot of times wouldn't make it. Well, what happened was in all these tournaments, without making any exception to this state, they ruined it where people would take out fish and keep them in live well to die anyway. The whole no-culling rule went back through the legislature, through a strong efforts of some fishing clubs up in the state of Wisconsin. They got that law rescinded. It meant well. They thought they were doing right. No culling. Again, but that's done with the greens. It isn't done so much with the outdoors. That's my definition between the to the greenies and the outdoor people. The people that really do it and those that pretend. Those are the nature fakers. A new one just came out here and it came to my mind. Maryland became the first state to ban, now get this, felt-soled waders. You know, the guys that go in there and fly cast, you know, they got these waders up to the, you know, you see these chest-high waders. Well, these are all got felt soles on them. And they found out, get this, what happened was the soles, valued by the anglers as sure-footed protection in simply places, trap spores and larvae of non-native plants and animals, showing the invaders to hitchhike by shoe from one stream to another. In other words, a guy would get these on his felt soles of his waders. He would put them in a car, and maybe he would drive that day to another stream, walk in there, and on his felt soled shoes, you would have these invaders, and that can happen, by the way. It's almost impossible to happen, but it can happen. It's within the realm of possibility. So somebody got an idea. One of these people, a greenie and not an outdoor person, says, let's ban felt-soled waders so people that walk around. Of course, people are going to slip, die, fall in. You cannot believe what these things do. And one of the interesting things that they brought up there, and this was a study in some of Maryland's Gunpowder Falls area, linked the shoes of the fishermen. A biologist with the Maryland division, he linked the shoes. Maryland's ban on felt soles used by fishermen need to step to guard a treasured resource, because what they believe it can do is spread what is called rock snot. That's in rocks and snot dripping from your nose combination. If you see these rocks in the water, they got this slime all over them, and you pick it up, they call it rock snot. And they believe that this rock snot can be picked up on the bottom of the felt waders and carried if a guy doesn't really dry out the waders real well, and then just maybe suddenly decide to go to another stream down the road, a completely different stream from a different tributary, completely from a different water system, that he might just possibly carry a few spores of larvae with this, and also other non-native plants. This first showed up in a place called the Batten River in Vermont, and then it spread to the White Mad. They found some in the Gihon River and a few others over there. And these things had, of all things, the horrible rock snot. So anyway, there's a guy that turned around here, one of these fly fishers, and turned around and says, hey, wait a second. Dennis Ritchie, executive director of the Oregon Anglers Association, who did an immense study, testified against the proposed ban during the legislative hearing. He says felt soles probably saved many a life in these people as they're walking around. And he says there is so little evidence that these felt is really picking up any amount of anything. It's possible, but there's also an improbability. And he says you'll probably lose more people than you will get buildups of rock snot. Well, that's it for Ron for this week, and that's my reporting in for our program featuring unintended consequences, brought about sometimes by nature fakers and even sometimes some nutcases. See you later, folks.
Fly fishing for bones coming up on Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Would you like to spend less time on the couch and more time in the fresh air? Would you like your kids to stare at a bobber instead of the TV? Would you gladly trade in your microwave for a Dutch oven? Then you belong at Bass Pro Shops. Every week, we offer free skills workshops to help you get started. See the store or go to BassPro.com for more information. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Now, if you enjoy fly fishing, then sometime in your life you really need to try saltwater fishing for bonefish. Careful approaches and good presentations are almost always necessary when fly fishing for bonefish, but when you find them abundant and on shallow flats, they can be reasonably easy to catch. Once you spot them, wade or pole within casting range and keep a low profile. Remember, bonefish always move into or in and across the tidal current. The clouds or minnow or crazy Charlie are both good flies to use. Move the fly in short, delicate hops and not too fast. When the bone slurps it in, set the hook and get ready to watch him run for deep water again and again. The average fish may be only 2 or 3 pounds, and a 6 to 8 pound bone is a good fish. Over 10 pounds is a trophy. Doesn't sound too big to you? Until you've hooked and fought a bonefish, you won't believe their power, and once you do, you'll go again. I'm Larry Whiteley, and this is Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Why, thank you very much, Mr. Larry Whiteley, and always a pleasure to see you either live or on tape, as you always are. We have a special guest today on Outdoors This Week. In fact, I said that about just about anybody that walks in the door, don't I, Lynn?
Yes, you do.
But this time I really mean it. This guy is really, really special. We refer to him as the Dean, quote unquote. I think I should introduce him for those of you who don't know who the Dean is. It's Pete the Dean Gluszek. And Pete has been competing on the highest professional levels of bass fishing for more than 10 years. He's qualified for both the Bassmaster Classic and FLW Outdoors Championship. He currently has the record for the heaviest winning margin in the history of the FLW Strength Series, finishing almost 18 pounds in front of second place. Pete is a river specialist and has won on both the Bassmaster and FLW Outdoors tournament trails, and he is also recognized as one of the most informative and entertaining speakers in the business. And that's a good thing because he's the Dean of Bass University. And first of all, Dean, let me welcome you to this humble program once again.
Well, thanks for having me, Alex. I as you were going through that spiel, I was wondering if you could just follow me around through life and everybody I meet, give that introduction. That would be great.
I would look forward to doing that, actually, Dean.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's always great to talk to you.
I'm happy to have you on the show. In fact, I'm speechless that you're on the show. Tell us about the Northern Opens that you fished in the last couple of months. How did you do? And what were you using? I want to know what you were using, Dean.
Well, you know, the baits that I use are a variety. But I've got a new bait, and I know we're going to talk about that a little bit, but it's called Pete's Quiet Killer. And it's a little flat-sided crankbait that I've been designing to operate in that ultra-shallow water that gets a lot of heavy pressure. And I've been using that, but I've been using a variety of baits. I've been fishing for smallmouth a lot. We just came back from Lake St. Clair, which is, man, geez, that's got to be one of the greatest smallmouth fisheries in the history of the world.
Yeah.
And we fished there. We fished also down at the James River down in Virginia, which is a tidal river, which is certainly one of my fortes. But I've had, you know, just really hasn't been a stellar year for me. I had a good tournament on the James River. I cast a check, scored some really strong points, and down at Lake St. Clair, I finished kind of an average finish out there. But I'm sitting at 24th place in the standings with one tournament to go. And if I step it up here a little bit at Cayuga Lake, I'm going to accomplish my objective, which is punch my ticket to the Bassmaster Elite Series. We're on schedule. I'd like to be a little higher than I am, but that's tournament fishing for you. It has a lot of variables involved.
It's the great equalizer.
Well, it's tricky. And, I mean, you think about our sport, you know, most people, you know, the variables are all there, but ours are really spectacular because we have a wild fish that we're chasing, and you never know what he's going to do from time to time. And you've got a partner in there that's handling the net for you. You've got wave and wind and change in temperatures that are extreme. There's so many variables in our sport. I don't know how we catch any fish at all, to be honest with you.
There's about 1 million variables and 1 million decisions that you got to make at any instant. I honestly think it's tougher. You would deserve a PhD in any other sport or any other endeavor if you were to consider all the variables at once like that, Pete.
I would agree, and I think, honestly, I think we're more artists than we are athletes because there's so much, you know, so many decisions that you do by feel and that are created in order to solve any particular tournament fishing situation.
Right.
I think it's almost more of an art form. It's exciting. I love it. I mean, I've been doing it for 15 years, and every single tournament I still get butterflies and I still can't wait to go out and try to win that tournament.
It's more like a soft science, like sociology or something like that, because we're kind of like bass sociologists. Don't you think that's true?
I would agree.
So, Pete, first of all, we're coming up to a break here, but are you offering Bass University again, of which you are the dean?
Well, I am. We are definitely back in a strong way for 2013. We got some real exciting stuff that we're going to be rolling out. We're really stepping up our sonar and our side and down scan technology training. That we're going to step that up this year. We're going to some great new places. We're going to be in Dallas.
Hold that thought, Pete. When we come back, I'm going to get the full schedule of Bass University. And also, I'm going to ask you about Mike Iaconelli, whether that little guy is going to be with you this year or not. All right?
You got it.
All right. Come back, folks. We'll be right back with Pete, the Dean Gluszek.
These are my weeds. You can drag your crankbait.
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
Take your presentations to some other place.
Wow! Woo! Hold on to that, and that's a good one since 1984. Tight Lines with Sammy Lee.
For the past few programs, I've had an opportunity to talk with Doug Hannon about how the moon affects fish. Hello again, this is Sammy Lee. Today I'll conclude my visit by finding out about an experiment that Doug is conducting to prove his theories. But first, this message.
You enjoy your time on the water, but you probably don't think too much about why you enjoy it so. Maybe that's because you get there safely using a boat trailer equipped by unique functional products. UFP manufactures the axles, brake lines, and braking systems used on America's best recreational vehicle trailers. Unique functional products goes in before their name goes on. So enjoy your trip. And remember, at UFP, your family's safety means as much to us as it does to you. Unique functional products from people dedicated to making things happen.
The bass professor, Doug Hannon, has been visiting with me the last few days to talk about his findings on how the moon phase affects fish location, feeding, and spawning habits. As a matter of fact, Doug was telling me about an experiment he made in Florida.
One leg, trolled fish, live bait. Should give me a good shot at when they were feeding. I took 4 years and 307 bass over 5 pounds. I chose bass over 5 pounds because I felt like that's a bass that's successful, that's doing what a bass ought to do, to survive. It's not like a dink that might not survive and might never learn the behavior patterns of a successful bass. So I wanted to take that out of it as well. And out of those bass, I found 65% of them were caught in these periods. In the major periods, the ratio was 5 to 1 over fish caught outside of the major periods, outside of any periods. In the minor periods, it was about 3 to 1 better. In other words, for every hour you fished in a major period was equivalent of 5 hours productivity outside the periods, and everyone in a major was the equivalent of about 3 hours outside.
You're right, Doug. World records do indicate that over 85% of all record fish were caught during a full or dark position of the moon. I hope you've enjoyed my interview with Doug Hannon the last few days, and stay tuned for more programs with him in the near future. I'm Sammy Lee, and until next time, Tight Lines.
Tight Lines, brought to you by UFP, America's leading maker of brake systems for boat trailers. FishMate, the ultimate fishing app for your smartphone. U.S. farm-raised catfish, the healthiest fish from pond to plate. And by Bleeding Belly's Lure Company. You bet your ass you'll catch more bass.
Thanks, Sammy Lee. But we have to make way now for the Dean. The Dean is in the house. None other than Pete Gluszek. Let me tell you a little bit about Pete. Pete has been competing on the highest professional levels for more than a decade. Pete qualified for both the Bassmaster Classic and the FLW Outdoor Championship. He currently has the record for the heaviest winning margin in the history of the FLW Strength Series, finishing almost 18 pounds in front of first place. Now, Pete, who was in second place that you beat?
That's a good question. I can't remember. I can remember a picture of his face right now, but I can't recall the guy's name. He's from Virginia, but it was an amazing situation. It was a 4-day tournament, Alex, in that event, and after 3 days, I'd already won. I actually could have gone to the coffee shop and had breakfast and not had to fish the last day. So that was a great event. I still think about that tournament from time to time.
When was that event?
It was 3-4 years ago now. It was on the Hudson River in the fall, which is, man, that's one of my absolute favorite times of year to fish, is in the fall. A lot of people have gone hunting, or there's less pressure on the water, and the leaves are changing, the water's cooling down. Best time of year to fish, and some people don't take advantage of it, but I love it.
Pete, I agree with you. All the water skiers and the jet skiers are off the water. It leaves the whole lake to people like you and me to catch the big ones, and you do catch big ones in the fall, don't you?
Well, it's a time of year that they kind of put their feed bag on. The bait fish are grouping up, and the weed beds are dying. These big grass beds that these bait fish spend all summer in, and when the grass starts dying, they get flushed out of them. And you get not only do you have a chance to catch some of the biggest fish of the year, but they get in concentration. So you're not, like in the summertime, it seems like you catch big fish here and over there. They're scattered about. In the fall, all the big ones are all together in the same place. So if you catch one, a lot of times you're going to catch a few right there in the same spot.
The most amazing times I've had fishing in my whole life have been in the fall. You're right. They school up. There was a time and a place where I caught, I think, a dozen fish, one after the other, on successive casts, and they're all big. They're all 5+. So that was in Massachusetts. So you're from New Jersey. It's roughly the same thing. So
exactly. We get good change of seasons up here, and the fall bite is really a great bite, and one of my favorite times of year to fish, because it's a crankbait bite a lot of times.
Yeah.
And it's one of my strengths. I've been, I've done a lot of damage in tournaments fishing crankbaits. I love to fish a crankbait, and I'm real excited about Pete's Quiet Killer with crankbait that was it's just hitting the shelves. There's probably 10 people in the country that have them right now.
Pete, first of all, I hear that you're going to have Bass University again this year. There's some guy named Mike Iaconelli that you may have heard about. Did you invite him back this year to the faculty?
I heard of that guy too. And we weren't sure whether we were going to have him back this year, but we decided to go ahead and do it.
I heard he gets kind of crazy, Pete.
He has a reputation, doesn't he? Well, let me tell you, when the craziness you see out on the water, you see the same darn thing in the classroom. I think he operates on level 12 out of 10 pretty much most of the time. So we love to have him in class. He always gets everybody fired up, and people just love to see Mike talk fishing, and you know what? He's one of the greatest fishermen in the world, so who wouldn't want to hear that?
Where is Bass University going to be this year?
Well, we're coming back to the Northeast. We're going to be at Suffolk, New York. We're going to be at Oaks, Pennsylvania. We're going to be in Chicago, in Dallas, and we're looking for our fifth site. We're trying to be either out on the West Coast or maybe down in the Southeast, but we're going to geographically spread it out. So we're excited. We've got a couple new venues. We're going back to some places that we've been to before.
Are you going to be out west this year?
Well, we're certainly trying to be out west. We want to go out and bring the program out west. We get a lot of requests from northern, southern, California, central to come out west. So we definitely want to do that. We've got a few pieces of the puzzle we got to get into place, but we're on our way. So we're going to be out there this year, maybe next, and the program continues to expand. Any place that we've been to, for instance, we were at Suffolk, New York last year, we will bring a whole new crop of speakers, all new topics. So the students that were at a program last year are going to have access to completely new information, new personalities. So we really try to deliver the best educational fishing program there is. And so we're expanding that, and we're doing a lot of work with sonar. So many requests for advanced sonar work. We worked with Lowrance last year, and we're going to work with them again this year, and we're excited about our new program.
If there's one hot area of fishing right now, it's sonar, isn't it?
Boy, you said it. I mean, with, there's new technologies. This side scan, down scan technology is just amazing, how they're incorporating that into the GPS systems that we have now. With a little practice, it really takes a person and moves them to the next level in their fishing. That's key. Most guys like me and you get into a boat, we put our trolling motor down, turn the sonar unit on, and go.
Exactly. That's the way it's always been done, Pete. Pete, I hear that music. Would you come back for another segment?
I would love to.
And we'll talk about your bait. I promise we'll talk about it.
Can't wait, Alex.
All right.
Coast to coast, this is Outdoors This Week with Alex Langer.
What can the average American do to help protect our natural resources and further the cause of conservation? What can he do to stem the loss of wetlands and wildlife habitat? I'm talking about personally, getting involved, making a difference. What can he do? I'm Wade Bourne, and this is Wired to Hunt Radio. Today, comments from Dale Hall of Ducks Unlimited about the importance of personal activism in wildlife conservation.
More Wired to Hunt Radio coming up.
Reliable, durable, and fun to shoot are just a few of the ways people describe their experiences with the M&P Pistol Series from Smith & Wesson. Available in multiple calibers and frame sizes, these lightweight, high-strength polymer pistols are fine-tuned machines both inside and out, designed to meet the needs of law enforcement pros and recreational shooters alike. The M&P Series has you covered no matter your flavor. To learn more about the M&P Pistol Series, visit www.smith-wesson.com. With the mission to promote, protect, and preserve hunting in the shooting sports, the National Shooting Sports Foundation wants to help you better enjoy your sports. Take a lesson from champion pistol shooter Doug Koenig. Fine-tune your shotgun skills with top instructor Gil Ash, or learn how to sight in your rifle in just 2 shots. You'll find all the information you need to shoot better at nssf.org/videos. Watch and learn with NSSF at nssf.org/videos.
This is Wired to Hunt Radio.
Dale Hall is CEO for Ducks Unlimited, which is celebrating its 75th anniversary as America's leader in wetlands conservation. Recently, we talked about what regular citizens can do to help protect our wild areas and wildlife. Dale gave a simple answer. You can let your voices be heard.
Have your elected officials know that conservation of the natural resources is something very important to you, so that when we go to talk to them about these different ways that we can work together to improve it, the members of either Congress or your state legislatures or even your local city councils understand that their citizens want this. They want to have a clean environment. They want to have clean water. They want to see waterfowl. And by the way, in the surveys that have been done, there are about 1.3 million of us that buy a duck stamp each year and go hunting. There are 15 million that will drive more than 5 to 10 miles from their home to observe waterfowl, to take pictures of it or look at it through a binocular. So I think that if you care about that, then get involved.
And one other thing you can do, even if you don't hunt, buy a duck stamp at your local post office. Money collected from duck stamps goes directly to preserve wetlands and wildlife in North America. And that's today's Wired to Hunt Radio. I'm Wade Bourne saying thanks for listening. Get outside.
Thanks, Wade. And we have the dean in the house. Pete Gluszek is in the house. He is the dean of Bass University. And if you were at one of their seminars last year, are they called seminars or do you call them something different?
Oh, well, we call them, I guess, a seminar. Sure, we call it a weekend seminar series is what we call it.
If you were at Suffern or anywhere else, is Oaks, Pennsylvania a new place?
No, we were there last year, too.
Oh, I missed that one. That just flew right by. Where's Oaks?
Oaks is right outside of Philadelphia. It's actually, we call it Philadelphia. That may be what's confusing you.
I think that confused me, Pete. If it weren't a man of your stature, I'd be wilting right now, but I'm not. So, also, you're in Chicago, Illinois, and Dallas, Texas. So, Suffern, which is New York, Oaks, which is Philly, and Dallas and Schaumburg, which is Chicago, and maybe on the West Coast. So, check bassuniversity.com. Pete, let's talk about your crankbait. Tell me about it, first of all.
Well, it's called Pete's Quiet Killer, and really what makes it special is right in the name. Is it is quiet. A lot of the crankbaits that we use have big, loud rattles and big, wide wobbles, and those crankbaits are very good in power fishing conditions. Problem becomes with a crankbait guy like myself when we run into these finesse conditions with clear water, with heavy fishing pressure. Those the big, powerful crankbaits, well, the fish kind of get spooked by them, and they don't react to them quite as well. So my Quiet Killer is designed to have a tighter wobble, and it's silent. There's no rattle chambers in it at all. And that allows me to get this bait closer to the fish and trigger strikes when a lot of other baits fail. And that, that's the cool part about this bait. Everybody can catch fish when it's easy, when the wind's blowing and, we've got clouds and the fish are really biting. But to have a set of baits that can catch them when conditions are tough, man, that's the magic. And that's what I've spent a few years developing this bait. And we've been through so many prototypes, and we've got it exactly where I want it, and it's catching them. And but I'm making it available to the public. So right now it's at sfttackle.com is the retailer that's carrying them, and you can call them, go on the website. You can see videos of the product, and man, I'm just tickled to death. It's how this feels to be able to generate a product, design it yourself, and to see people go out and catch fish with it. I mean, it's amazing.
Honestly, there's nothing better than that, Pete. And whenever anybody catches a fish on one of my baits, I'm there in spirit. So it's really changed my life, and I hope this will change yours. What is that website again, please?
It's sfttackle.com. You can search Susquehanna Fishing Tackle on Google, and it'll pop right up for you.
It's SFT as in SusquehannaFishingTackle.com. They have the bait, and you can buy it right online?
Yeah, absolutely. You have we have 5 colors to choose from right now, and we're coming out with you're going to love this. Our 5th color, which I don't know if it's up on the website, but it's in the video when you click on it, but we're calling it the Dean.
The Dean. Wow, the Dean. That's cool.
It's my number one choice. It's a kind of a crawfish, chartreuse crawfish pattern that, man, I've had success from coast to coast with that color combination, and so we might as well put it right at the top of the list. We're calling it the Dean.
That sounds like a cool color combination. Tell me more about the crankbait. What does it look like?
Well, it's a flat-sided crankbait. It's about 2.5 inches long. It'll run. Its running depth is about between 6 inches to 2.5 feet, which to me is, man, that's one of the primary zones to catch some of the biggest fish. But the bait is, it's got 2 number 6 treble hooks on it. The ones that I use are the Gamakatsu EWG treble hooks. Yep. And I've experimented with every treble hook out there, and I put the absolute best hooks on my crankbait. Those hooks hold fish. Even if you only have one of the points even touching the fish, you're going to have a better chance of catching fish with those hooks. So I use the absolute best hooks that I could find. One of the cool things is I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a craftsman. So I'm working with a gentleman named Bob Allen. He's been handcrafting crankbaits for over 50 years, and he's my. He builds these crankbaits, and he hand carves them. He hand paints them. It's a spectacular bait.
Are they made out of wood or are they plastic?
They are made out of wood. They're balsa wood. They're weighted. That's one of the cool parts about it is I weight it so that when the bait stops, it flashes to the side.
Really?
Which is very difficult to make it do that. And it also has a hunting action, which if you talk about crankbaits a lot, you find that those baits that hunt are often some of the best baits. So we work on it to hunt. We work on it to give it that side flash. It's slow rising. It does everything that I really wanted out of a shallow crankbait, and we're real proud of it. But the proof's in the pudding. When you take it out and you're fishing in that shallow zone, you get the bites with this bait.
Pete, I hate to say it, but we're out of time. Check it out at Susquehanna Fishing Tackle, SFT.com, right?
It's sfttackle.com.
sfttackle.com. Dean, sorry to cut you short, but we'll have you back again next time, all right?
Hey, thanks for having me so much. If you guys check out PeteGluszek.com or look me up on Facebook and say hello.
All right. Thanks, folks, and take care, Pete. Bye-bye.
Outdoors This Week with Alex Langer.